So, this is Bill Ryan here and
Carrie Cassidy
from Project Camelot, and we are honoured, genuinely honoured and privileged to have been invited here to the Exopolitica Summit in Barcelona. And the date today, somebody, is?
23rd of July 2009.
Excellent. Okay. This is the guy from the Ministry of Defence who always knows what date it is.
What's going on.
Okay. And thank you very much, Nick. And what we are doing here is we're gathering the opportunity to talk with most of the speakers who are appearing here this weekend on Spain's first Exopolitics Summit. And this is a formal, informal gathering, a meeting of great minds, considerable experience between us, I think. I won't add up the number of years, it might be embarrassing. But we're just going to talk about the general subject of disclosure and just see, once we kick that ball off, where it might go in the next hour and a half. Carrie.
And I would like to say that we are going to do a transition about an hour and a half into this onto live radio. So I just want to say that caveat right at the beginning. On top of it, we decided we would start out with introductions. So we're going to go around the table and do some brief introductions of all the speakers here. I want to start off with Paula Harris.
My name is Paula Harris. I'm an Italo-American journalist. I've been working in this field for 30 years. I began working with Dr. Jalen Hynek, an astronomer, researcher, professor of Northwestern University, because he was a consultant to Steven Spielberg for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And so I saw the film and I went to see him, and he was my teacher for 6 years. I knew this was real because I started with a scientist who was working in this field. I just want to say that I graduated, because I'm a teacher, also have a master's in education, from ufology to what I call exopolitics. And my definition of exopolitics is the formal academic study of the UFO phenomenon and contact and its political and sociological implications for the planet. And so now I am mainly in that field, and I've written 3 books. The last one, All of the Above, which talks about possible protocols of exopolitics. Protocols, things like we need to look at universal and planetary involvement. This is not an American problem, it's not a French problem, it's not a German problem, it is a planetary problem. So that's where I'm coming from. That will be my focus, that will be my talk, and that is what I'm interested in.
Paula, thank you very much. Dr. Brian O'Leary.
My name is Brian O'Leary. In 1967, I was appointed to go to Mars by NASA as an astronaut. And then when the U.S. got involved in Vietnam, I became a free energy activist and a peace activist. And the contact experience and the whole UFO phenomenon, to me, ushers in many more things that can help us with our own problems here on the planet. And my principal activity over the last several years has to visit the laboratories of some of the best and brightest so-called zero-point and other breakthrough clean energy concepts. My latest book, The Energy Solution Revolution, talks about the politics and the social implications of a breakthrough energy economy. And I think that the energy, and because of the suppression of free energy technologies, which has been rampant, and the high danger of doing this kind of work makes it extremely symbiotic with the whole question of UFO ET disclosures. So to me, exopolitics means going outside the box of normal inquiry and being able to embrace those technologies which can truly create a sustainable future for planet Earth.
Wonderful. Okay.
You know, Brian, they are sending people to Mars now, so you still have a shot.
So I understand.
And from what we understand, all you do is walk into a sort of like elevator or jump room to Mars, and so there's no flight actually involved.
Well, that sure
From
beats
what I
chemical rockets.
You bet.
But that's another story. And now,
I'd like to... Do you know what? I'd love to call you Dr. Bob Dean. I think we should start calling you Dr. Bob Dean.
Call me anything you like, just as long as I'm not late to dinner.
but don't you say Sergeant Major?
Come on, Sergeant Major.
Command Sergeant.
Okay.
Bob, who are you? Tell the world. This is your
I
chance.
have to stand up. I don't talk well sitting down.
Very good.
I first became aware of the extraterrestrial presence 45 years ago. But I didn't come out and start speaking about it until 1991. I took an oath when I was in the military. I had a cosmic top secret clearance while I was at SHAPE headquarters in Paris. And I took an oath not to divulge any of the classified material that I had learned while I was in the service and while I was in Paris. And I kept myself to that oath until 1991. And a couple of events occurred in 1991 that outraged me to such a point that I could not keep quiet any longer. A good friend of mine, an Air Force fighter pilot, had just gotten back from a full tour in Japan. And he was flying his jet over Florida, and he had an incident in the sky, 40,000, where he looked out of his canopy to the left, and he happened to see a circular disc with a dome, and he found himself looking into the face of another human being looking at him. When he got back on the ground, he had to talk to somebody about it and explain what happened. Well, speaking openly about it was his mistake. The Air Force grabbed him, sent him to Newfoundland, to a United States Air Force base in Newfoundland without his family. Now, back in those days, they did things like that. I've been told that they don't do those things anymore, but I don't believe that. Another thing that brought me out of the closet, as it were, a figure of speech, I was denied a promotion for a job. I was working in Pima County as an emergency services, special operations, field operations. My boss retired. I applied for his job. I went through the entire hiring process, and I was turned down for the job. I confronted the sheriff, who happened to have the hiring authority at the time, and I was told that, well, you're one of those people who speaks out a little bit openly about UFOs. I can't have you working in the Department of Emergency Services. And if you'll forgive my French, I got myself the meanest lawyer in town, and I sued the son of a bitch. And I went through 2 years of litigation, spent $20,000 of money that I did not have. And after 2 years of litigation, I won the lawsuit. I got the job, I got the back pay, and I got $100,000 of tort damages. But I was so outraged at these two incidents that I had been denied a job promotion, and my good friend had been sent to Newfoundland without his family. And I reached such a level of outrage, frustration, anger, aggravation, that I began to violate my national security oath and speak openly about what I had learned, what I had been shown, what I had been told, because I had had top secret clearances all my career.
Anger is a great motivator.
You see, I'm not an easy person to get along with sometimes. For the very nature of the fact that I retired as a command sergeant major. we had a